Welcome to this micro lesson. This is the second kind of micro lesson I've done for the program. This one will be a micro lesson in reading, English language reading. We're going to use a text called This Old Boat by Don Casey. It's not a story text, it's not fiction, it's a technical publication on sailboat repair. Why would we want to use that? Why instead of a fiction or a novel length or even short story? Well, the idea is a technical publication. There's not a lot of metaphor, implied meaning, or slang or any of that in it. It's a straightforward text. The English is simple and it's descriptive. The reading is a good place to start for beginner and intermediate English language learners. They don't have to interpret anything more than the actual meaning of the text. So there's three components to this class. The objectives are the first objective. We'll take a typical sailboat, identify the main components. So the English terms for the main components of the sailboat. One would be the hull, for example, the mainsail or sail and rigging. The engine. So we'll look at all the components of a sailboat. We'll get the class to be able to identify in English what the major components are. The second objective, we're going to look at a component of your choice. We'll take each student and they'll give us from the text, from reading the text. We'll try and identify the major problems that a typical sailor could encounter. So we'll build off the first objective. We'll take the main components of the sailboat, and on that identify problems that you could encounter with the hull, for example, the sail and rigging. Maybe there's a tear in the sail. Maybe the sails are old or the fitting's wrong. Maybe the rigging itself, there's something wrong with the rigging, and the rigging needs to be replaced. Maybe it's not the mainsail, it's the jib. Maybe it's the jib that needs replacement. There's a number of components to the sailboat. We'll look at the engine. Typical sailboat has very simple. Engine is a carburetor. The engine, the propeller. It's very the system that drives the boat outside of the sails. The engine is not much more complicated than a small engine you might find in a ride mower or something like that. So we'll get the class to identify what problems could face these components, so the major components of the boat. And the third objective, building on that, will be, what's the solution? We'll take one of the problems. We'll run through a practice, a guided practice, if you will. We'll say, what are some of the solutions for this problem? So if there is damage to the hull, the fiberglass in the hull, what can we do about it? Are there ways to repair damaged fiberglass on a sailboat? Having read the text, I can tell you that Don Casey does describe several methods to fix fiberglass on a ship hull. So the students, by the end of the class, will be able to run through a repair for a simple problem on one of the major components of a sailboat. So that'll be it for the class. After the class, of course, you guys will have your independent practice. You'll go home. You'll pick a sailboat, maybe an advertisement from the internet. You're going to pick your very own sailboat, and you're going to come to class the next day and present for the class, each of you, a small presentation based on the reading, based on your understanding of the reading for the class on another boat, your own boat of your choosing. Just a small idea of what you liked about the boat, what features of the boat you liked, what for that boat might go wrong or most likely is to go wrong, what preventative measures or maintenance you can do before it goes wrong or after there's a minor problem. So you'll run through what we did in today's class, a miniature version for the next class on your own, and you'll be graded on that and be able to progress from there based on your understanding for that text. Later on in the course, we'll get into more complicated texts. Believe it or not, a technical manual or publication is the least complicated English language publication or text you can read. as a learner. Later on, we'll get into fiction and first maybe fiction that is made for younger English readers, later older English readers, and you'll see what I mean when we delve into things like contextual meaning and such like that. So let's get started. Open your book, This Old Boat by Don Casey. We'll start with the introduction and go from there. We'll just get one of the students to read the introduction or one paragraph from the introduction, and we'll get an understanding about what the book, the contents of the book are. So, okay, let's get started. Okay, thank you.